I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and, of course, the Glebe Central Pub. I wish I was at the Glebe Central Pub right now for a cold one. You can find them at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. On game days, get 10% off your order. And also make sure to check out online at glebecentralpub.com the Send Shuttle to and from the CTC for just $17 round trip. I'm Ross Levitan alongside the Martian at Lalime's Martian online following a 3-2 Sens loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. I was going to say, Martian, this show is by losers for winners. We appreciate each and every one of the people who join us in the postcast, especially after these poor results. That's 4 straight losses for the Ottawa Senators. They go down 2-0. They make it 2-1. They go down 3-1. They make it 3-2. But it's too little, too late once again. And Martian, that feels like a common theme this season.
Yeah, what's with these guys and only showing up for the last 10 minutes of the game or when they're already down by 2 and it seems like the game's already lost. It's like they put on that little extra push at the end and it's just, as you said, always just too little too late. And I don't know what that is. They're just not ready to go out of the gate in this game. It's a common theme that goes back to last season and the season before that. And I feel bad for the fans, man. At this point, you're going to all these home games and all of a sudden they're on this little home losing skid here. And they got another one coming up on Saturday against another tough opponent. So the road doesn't get any easier from here. And this team needs to start figuring it out right now. And I would say they probably needed to figure it out as early as today. And they just didn't. And there's a lot of guys you can point fingers at right now.
4-game winless streak, I should say. They mustered a point against Philly in a game they were up 2 with 10 minutes left. So, I mean, you're at a loss there, really. So, winless in 4 straight. Haven't won since not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before that. Feels like so long ago, that Toronto game. It really does. And now you're staring down the barrel of 10 losses on the season. The Senators are 8-10-1 and now near the basement of the Atlantic Division and the Eastern Conference. My biggest question after this game is what happened in the first and second. The Senators dominated the third period of this game. It started out, they were down 2-0 going into it. They outshoot the Vegas Golden Knights by triple, I think, in the third period. It was very lopsided to the Senators' favor, and they get a power play goal from Adam Gaudette. You're feeling good. And it's not the next shift like we have seen in the past, but 2 minutes on the dot later, Vegas retakes a 2-goal lead. Like, there's just something it feels like internally with this group that when they get close to something, they panic. Whether they get close to a win like we saw in Vegas, where they get close to a tie like they did in Colorado with the 7 minutes left, they erase a 2-goal deficit. It's like they lack a killer instinct. They lack being able to do the right things consistently when the pressure becomes high. When there's no intensity, when there's no next shot, next goal wins, it feels like this team's fine. But when that part of the game comes into play, this team folds. And it is so frustrating to watch as a fan.
Yeah, it's like momentum management is what I'm going to call it here for this team is when they gain the momentum, they can't hold on to it for more than a minute or two because the other team starts pushing and then they get scored on. Or I don't know what it is. They're just getting too comfortable when they have like a little bit of momentum on their side. They think, oh, it's going to happen for us here. And they're taking it for granted maybe a little bit. And then on the other side of things, when the other team has momentum, the Sens have no way of getting it back. In the past, we've seen them make big hits or get a few good scoring chances out of things and maybe get a little momentum going their way. But this season, it's impossible for them to maintain momentum and steal momentum. And that's just a recipe for disaster. They just can't do it right now.
They can't. I'm not ready to get to the positives yet. I do have a couple, whether you want to call them spin zones or reasons for optimism. I'm not ready for that because this was just as frustrating of a game to watch as possible. The shots in the third were more than triple. Martian, 18-5 for the Ottawa Senators. And if it's not Linus Ullmark for tonight, and say what you want about the second goal in this game, that was a brutal goal against. He made about 6 or 7 10-bell saves. He was not even close to the reason why they lost this game. I thought he was fantastic outside of the Florida game to start the season. And you could even say the shutout, although I didn't think he was tested too much in Toronto. This was one of his better performances as an Ottawa Senator. So it's like, look, the fans wanted JVD instead of Hamnick. They get that. They wanted Linus Ullmark to find his game. They get that. And they still find ways to lose games.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You said it with him. He was good tonight. Other than that second goal, as you said, but yeah, he was making the first save every time. He was making the second save occasionally too on some big 2-on-1 odd man rush plays. That first goal definitely wasn't his fault. He makes a humongous save off that one, diving and making the save with his torso. And then a little bit of a mix up there with Clevin and Gaudette. And of course, Jack Eichel is where he needs to be, sitting on the doorstep, and he's going to bury that 10 out of 10 times. And that's exactly what he does on that one. So,
dude, the ISO cam on that was so tough to watch, though, where it's just following Eichel. Like, that's the one guy on the ice. You have to know where he is at all times. No Alex Pietrangelo tonight. No Mark Stone. That's what, $20 million against the cap out of the lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights. You got to get more early, man. That was tough to watch.
Yeah, and Gaudette was with him there for a second, and then I don't know what happened where he just kind of, I don't know if it was just puck watching and Eichel snuck away on him. I'm not sure how that happens. And then Clevin's facing the completely wrong way, standing in right in front of the crease like that. So good fortune for Jack Eichel to catch the Sens sleeping a little bit off that rebound chance. I don't even know what to say, Ross. It's tough out here right now.
It is. And like they're not even getting loser points. Like one past regulation. I was even saying with 7:22 left, look, they make it a 1-goal game, 3-2. They do get one grade A opportunity, and they should have had more, because 2 minutes after they go down a goal, they get a power play, and the passing on that power play was not crisp at all. Call it whatever you want, but crisp. They were trying to force it. G was putting so much mustard on his passes, missed a cross-ice feed where Timmy just couldn't hang on to the puck. I mean, call that a bad reception, but I mean, he put a ton of juice on that. It's like the players individually on this team at every level are too good to be as bad as they are here. Like, that's where I'm at such a loss. I understand the roster construction, and I also understand Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, the top players are going to get the most talk, whether it's good or bad. And I see the chat, a lot of Brady slander. I get that third goal, the back check for Brady, non-existent.
It's horrible.
That's bad. But I'm looking at the guys who were brought in this summer, the Amadios, the Perrons, and the guys who were signed this summer, Shane Pinto most notably. Now that's 4 games back for Pinto and still no points since he returned. Like, the secondary scoring on this team is non-existent. So that in itself would cover up some of these minor detail-oriented mistakes from, I think, most notably Brady Tkachuk, because I'm seeing that all over the chat right now. We'll get to the chat later. But offensively, he's bringing it. He's on pace for his highest scoring season ever. They're getting 0. Their second leading goal scorer is their 4th line center.
The guy who came in on a PTO, he wasn't even really like a GM choice pick.
No, two-way deal. Two-way deal.
Oh, it's a two-way deal. But yeah, it's two-way deal. Either way, it's like, come on here. Perron had tons of chances tonight, especially that first one in the first period was a great save by Samsonov, whereas I guess he kind of dropped his stick and ended up hitting that. I thought that was going to be a sure goal. That would have made it 1-1. And then the one at the end there where Shabbat gave him a great feed, and then he couldn't bury that one either. Like, those are chances he needs to bury. And then Pinto too. 1 goal on the season for this guy right now? He needs to get going big time. He had a lot of chances early in the game as well. We know he's a good player and can score goals, but he needs to get a little grittier there, maybe get his butt parked in front of the net and start getting a little bit dirtier out there and work harder for a goal, because they're not always going to be beautiful snipes from the top of the circles like he's been, those are kind of the chances he's been getting lately. So I need more out of Pinto. I need more out of Perron. Amadio is I mean, he's great defensively, I guess you could say, but I mean, he's not going to produce a whole lot of offense either. I don't know if there's another line juggle coming up. Maybe you do throw Gaudette up on that top line just to give it a little pop and a little extra scoring, but honestly, man,
at the end of the game, they rolled out Pinto Kachuk Gaudet, which is something we hadn't seen yet at all this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting look, right? 3 different kind of players, and that could work. But the only guy really going right now is Tim Stützle, and he's just been a machine out there, and his game hasn't changed one bit, whether they're losing or winning or whatever they're doing out there. He's just a buzzsaw going out there this year. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of him. But yeah, honestly, just the whole team right now is kind of stinking up the joint.
Sens fall to 3-6-1 in November this season, Martian. Like, it's just it's so different with this team in terms of how it's happening, but the results are the exact same. So we had Graham Nichols on the show earlier today, and he made a fair point, because the underlying numbers, everything's pointing in the right direction. They're 27th in the league in save percentage going into tonight's game, but despite all the what Graham Nichols called false equivalency to seasons past, as Steve Staios said yesterday, they keep score for a reason, and they're 3-6-1 in November. It's not good enough. This team is not only at the back of the pack, they haven't won in a week and a half, and they've got 2 more games on this homestand, Vancouver, Calgary, and to get to the easy schedule at the end of the season, you have to at least be competent. So I don't really have much time for the excuse that they're playing against good teams every night.
No.
What did they do against Buffalo? What did they do against the Islanders? What did they do against Montreal?
Flyers. All those, like, there's a handful of teams right there that aren't any good or aren't supposed to be any good. Here's the newsflash. They're all good. And Ottawa is in no position to be taking any game for granted or wanting to, thinking that they're going into a game going to win. They need to fight for every single point they're going to get out here, Ross. And they're going to have to win the next 2 games. Because if they drop another one of these games on this homestand, they end up going 1-3 on this homestand. That's a terrible look, and it puts them even further back in the standings here. They're in one right now, and we're going to see what they got. It's either going to be another nightmare November, and we're going to be coming out of this thing, and we're going to be knowing where they are sitting in the standings at American Thanksgiving. Things don't usually go well for teams who are sitting low in the standings at that point of the year, or they're going to kind of show a little bit of life here, and they can bring us right back into it. I still, obviously, I'm still believing. I'm not going to pull out Pilsey's panic button quite yet, but honestly, man, it's not looking good. It's really not looking good. And I mean, if we could talk about that Brady back check just for a second here, this is the guy who's going in the media talking about no excuses, talking about how they need to play better. And then he goes and has a back check like that. Like, I mean, that's just kind of unacceptable to me. He's got to maybe just own that one in the media too, because he's going to be talking again sometime soon. They're pumping him out there left and right. But yeah, I mean, Brady, that you got to do better than that, pal. You're going to have to get on your horse there, especially knowing, you're right with the guy, and Cleven's kind of going the wrong direction. You can't count on him to catch anybody when he's, already caught flat-footed. And, it leads to that 2-on-1, that third goal. And that was a huge, was that the third goal.
Yeah, it was 2-1 at the time.
And that's the game winner. And it's kind of on him right there. So I want to hear a little bit of accountability out of him on that play. Other than that, I thought his game was actually pretty good. Lots of shots on goal.
He was hammering guys,
and he was smoking guys along that side wall. But for me, 6 shots on goal for Brady. But that play in particular there, that's just unacceptable play from your captain, because it sets an example for the rest of the guys that's allowed. And
I was trying to find an excuse for him. Was it a long shift? No, 27 seconds into his shift, that happens. It's just frankly unacceptable. I mean, they got bigger issues than that, is all I'm saying. I know people don't want to hear it. He gets paid the big bucks. He should be the one contributing. He's gone scoreless in 3 straight games now on the goal side of things. He needs to get it going, there's no doubt, but their passing is the opposite of crisp. They've got no offensive extended zone possessions. I thought that's what David Perron was being brought in to help with, but it's beyond him. It's Claude Giroux, it's Drake Batherson, and I'm not saying their entire games, but in terms of being able to keep the puck along the boards and make a move past the defender, leave a guy behind you, create time and space for yourself. And we're just not seeing it consistently enough in the offensive zone. Other teams, they can grind Ottawa down low and they can work offensive zone time. And it just feels like Ottawa's kind of dump, chase, now what? And the chase doesn't result in puck possession, and it's killing this team.
Well, yeah, going to puck possession and look at the giveaways and takeaways in this game for both teams. And Ottawa had 20 giveaways to Vegas's 8. I mean, so that's basically the difference right there. It was only a 1-goal game, but like look at all those difference in giveaways. And then takeaways, that's not kind of irrelevant right now. It's 4-3, so that's not a big deal. But man, they got to do a better job managing the puck because they're just throwing it away way too often.
And you look at the shot clock, 40 for Ottawa, 32 for Vegas. We mentioned the lopsided third period in favor of Ottawa. Sens go 1 for 3 on the power play, but had a failed opportunity in the third period to tie the game with 5 minutes left. Ottawa wins 56% of the draws. Vegas 23 blocks to Ottawa's 12. Ottawa out hits Vegas 36-30, and the expected goals at 5-on-5, 56% in favor of Vegas. Jimmy Sue says the top 6 minus Stützle and Zubin Sanderson. Wake up. I'm not spinning the wheel, Jimmy. We're bottom 7 in the league. I am not spinning the wheel until at least New Year. And that makes me very sad that it is even a conversation, and a fair one at that, Jimmy. But it's just brutal. Sanderson has not been himself. Stick taps to Jake Sanderson tonight. First even strength point of the season. Ultimate slow clap right there, but he needs to get going. I don't know if they're giving him too much. He obviously showed he could handle it a lot through last season and in the first 5 games this season, but he has been bad. So is Artem Zub since coming back from injury. Bad. Nobody outside of Nick Jensen has had consistent effort and energy and presence on the back end this season, front to back. So it's a 3-2 loss tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. We do have SensCentral Standouts. We do have a little bit of optimism to tell you. But first, what I'm always optimistic about is that the vibes are free at the GCP. You can head there at 779 Bank Street. The Postcast is always brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. The GCP has great food, awesome drinks. They got the dartboard in there. They got live music every Saturday night. They always have live programming at the GCP. It really does make for that family atmosphere, but that fun atmosphere that you can go to, whether you're riding solo coming to town or if you're going with a group. Go to the Glebe Central Pub, 779 Bank Street, and make sure to check out the Sens bus. I love the Sens bus because it's just full of energy to and from the game. It leaves an hour and 15 minutes before the game and then takes you back 15 minutes after. Beat the traffic, get back. Sue gets you there and gets you back to the pub. You can get your tickets for Saturday against Vegas, Monday against Calgary, $17 round trip. Great deal. So make sure to check that out. The Postcast would not exist without the Glebe Central Pub, so make sure you check them out and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is licking their wounds after having Ottawa as big favorites in tonight's game, but at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Locked On, you can place a $5 bet as a new customer, and if you win, you will get $150 in bonus bets. The FanDuel Sportsbook app, super easy to use. It gives you everything you need to place live bets all in one place. I love it for Sundays with football. Get a hunch in the middle of the game. You can check out the latest stats, play-by-play, and much more for the same page that you make your bets. Visit FanDuel.com and join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and the Locked On Podcast Network. Wah, 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 wah. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan, certified loser, alongside the Martian at Lalime's Martian on all your favorite social media platforms, covering a 3-2 loss for the Ottawa Senators, in which 2 comebacks make it halfway there, from 2-1 to 3-1 to 3-2, and that is the way things end tonight. Martian, I feel like there's been one consistent SensCentral standout for the past week. I'll let you have it.
Well, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I appreciate that. And we all know it's going to be the German. It's Tim Stützle. He's the only player who's really rocking for the Sens lately. Led all forwards in all ice time tonight again. So he's obviously got Travis Green obviously noticing that this is the only guy he's got cooking right now. He had the 1 assist. It was a great play by him to keep it onside. It looked like I think Jack Eichel, the puck came outside the zone, but Eichel put it back in, and Stützle was kind of coming back on the back check, and it just kind of popped back to him, and he made a good play to kind of circle in the zone. Find his man there, the defenseman. I think it would have been Shabbat or Sanderson. It was Sanderson because that was his first even strength point of the season. And then Sanderson slides that over to Batherson. Batherson buries that one. But it was all Tim Stützle. And again, he 3 shots on goal out there tonight. He was buzzing. He's that dangle that he pulled too.
On Eichel.
On Eichel in the first period. He was like, his mitts are really nice right now. He needs to just keep doing what he's doing and hope the rest of the team starts to fall into place around him, because the way he's going right now, he is turning into Timmy Superstar. He is Timmy Superstar. He's here.
Yeah, he is. And it's so unfortunate that as he continues to have his star shine, others are dimming around him, and it's not giving him a whole lot to work with. You see him lift his head in the offensive zone, looks left, looks right, tries to make a play. And half the time, I mean, there was a play with 3 minutes left in the game where he's alone 1-on-4. It's like, where's the help? Where are you? And why are we not figuring out how to get pucks into danger areas more often than not? Like Ottawa in this entire game had 11. I mean, the high danger scoring chances were 11-11 according to Natural Stat Trick, but it just wasn't good enough. Ottawa with 28% of the expected goals in the first period. And that's one of those things where it comes back to, I mentioned this morning, Martian. It's like, if you're not going to have a morning skate and you win, nobody's going to say anything. But when you come out flat for the second game in a row against a team that's played the night before, the common denominator is they played and you guys went for an off-ice workout in the morning. It just feels like, I don't know what the actual value is of a morning skate, but when you consistently don't do it and you consistently come out flat, I'd like to think that on Saturday they will have one.
Yeah, maybe get those legs pumping a little bit, get the blood moving earlier in the day, and like maybe they can get off to a better start in the game, because it does seem like, it takes them a second to kind of settle in or get their legs actually pumping. Because,
but again, it's the nervous energy. Who's going to score first? Senators are what, 0-8-1 this year when they allow the first goal?
I think that's right. I think maybe the overtime loss was one of those ones too. But 0-8-1 or 0-8.
0-8-1. Math.
0-8-1. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was my bad. Yeah. But brutal. They gotta get going early in games. Same thing as last year, Ross. It's like they don't show up in the first period. They go down 1 or 2, and then they're playing catch up the rest of the game. It's brutal.
It's brutal. But I agree with you. Tim Stützle is the number 1 star for Ottawa in this game. One thing though about Stützle, I think it's pretty obvious he struggles in the faceoff dot, right?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't surprising anyone. Late in the game, offensive zone draw. He's taking the draw. Giroux was right there on his right side. Like, I don't know if G only really takes right side faceoffs on his strong side, but he needed to be in the dot on that one. I just didn't understand it. And they snap it back right away, clear the zone, and it's right there. So Jonah has said he just got here, and yes, Saturday is a must-win game. There's no going around that. You're not going 0-3 on a 4-game homestand, starting at 0-3, and they lost against Philly too. This is 4 straight losses. You're looking down the barrel at home right now. Like, you have to win. You have to win the game on Saturday, and you probably have to win Monday as well.
Yeah, I think you have to win both. And I'll be boots on the ground there on that Saturday game. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with. Hopefully they don't disappoint me again, because this last few games I've been to have been rough.
Tim Stützle, 43% in the dot tonight, but did have 3 shots on goal, played a second under 22 minutes, and added an assist, his 23rd point of the season. My SensCentral standout, I was looking at going one way. I think I'm going to pivot at the last second and go with Linus Ullmark. Look, the second goal wasn't great, but he was a standout in this game. He had so many 10-bell saves. You think of the one where he goes right to left near the end of the second period. Huge pad save there. I thought he was calm in his net. I think that this was at least a step forward for Linus Ullmark. So unfortunate that it ends in a loss, and I'm sure he's not going to feel good about that. But I do want to give Linus Ullmark a shutout in this game.
Yeah, for sure. And 29 saves in this one, Ross, and over a 900 save percentage. So that's always good. I mean, that's basically all we're asking out of our Ottawa Senators goalies at this point. So I agree. He did have a very good game tonight.
Yeah, and Alex makes a good point too. He ditched the Martian mask tonight, eh? I don't know what is. I thought it was home or away.
Yeah, he's going back and forth with it a little bit. Usually the Martian he wears at home, but after the last game, I can see why he wouldn't. So I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking with that. Usually a goalie just sticks to one mask, I thought, but he's flipping between the two. It's interesting.
Yeah. By the way, Eunice Corpusalo had a shutout tonight, just to make matters worse.
There we go. His second of the season.
Yeah, exactly. So let us know in the chat what it comes down to, because frankly, I feel dumb because I believe in this team. I believe in the players. I believe in the coaching staff. And I think that Steve Staios has addressed the right areas. He was very vocal. We needed a goalie. They go out and get statistically the best goalie in the league the last 3 years. Then you go out and you get good veterans like David Perron, like Michael Amadio, like Nick Jensen. And it feels like despite doing the right things, like they've made changes to everything except the core. And I believe in this core, but if things don't get better in the next couple months, then I'll be able to entertain these conversations about why the core hasn't been able to get it done. But I'm still at a bit of a loss. I thought Josh Norris was a bit of a ghost right now, a little Casper tonight from Josh Norris. And he was so physical early in the season. And I feel like that's kind of fallen apart for him, and it's not a part of his game as much anymore. Tim Stützle, Josh Norris, Shane Pinto. We always brag about the record, which keeps getting worse with those three in the lineup, but two of them may as well not have really played tonight. They were very unnoticeable. Shane Pinto had that one play around the net and had one play in the first period where he made a nice move and got a good shot off. But besides that, it's like you're not getting enough depth scoring or even offense outside of Adam Gaudette from the, what do you want to say, 10 players offensively you'd say are underperforming right now?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think you could go with 10 guys. Yeah, I think Giroux is definitely one of them, especially tonight. 4 giveaways on the night here tonight, and he didn't look like he was very quick out there. He didn't have his best game, that's for sure.
One assist in the last, well, it might even go further back than that. Yeah, you want to hear a bad stat?
No. Yeah, let's hear it.
You don't want to hear it? If you don't want to
hear it.
No,
I want to hear it. I was just being.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh my God. In the last 10 games, Claude Giroux has no goals and 1 assist.
Ooh, that is bad.
Yeah, and that assist came in the game against Toronto. Had a primary assist on a goal 41 seconds into that game where Josh Norris really did it all. He walked into the zone and ripped a shot. But it feels like elder abuse if we're just going to point at Claude Giroux, because the problems are so much bigger than that. And at this point in his career, at 36, 37 years old, sick catch by me on that pen, he should be a complementary piece. He shouldn't be asked to drive offense every single night.
No, that's brutal. I mean, if they are asking him to do it, he's not doing it. But yeah, somebody's got to start stepping up here. I think Batherson's probably one of those guys who needs to really put into another gear. Same with Josh Norris. Those are the two I'd be pointing at right now.
Yeah, Norris had that low-calorie goal against Edmonton to make it 5-2 late in the third period. So what do you say about that? But a really, really unfortunate night tonight. 3-2, the Senators lose, and we've got more to get to. There's a couple more topics that I want to bring up in this game, including the chat. Adam Rogers with a great question here. We'll get to that and more. You're listening to Locked On Senators Postcast, and it's brought to you by Prize Picks. Whenever I want daily fantasy sports, I use Prize Picks because I know that Prize Picks has it all, from being able to get out your money really quick, which is huge. Also, the flex pick with Prize Picks, which means that you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. But what is Prize Picks? It's the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Just pick more or less on at least 2 players to win a shot at up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineup stays in place even if one of your players gets injured. That's huge. Prize Picks puts its members first. All withdrawals are free, safe, and secure. Download the app today, the Prize Picks app, and use code LOCKEDONNHL and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's download the app Prize Picks, use code LOCKEDONNHL, and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Welcome back. It's the Postcast. That's Lalime's Martian. I am Ross Levitan. Very excited to say what up to Dashy after we continue breaking down a 3-2 Sens loss against the Vegas Golden Knights. And this, look, we've gotten a lot of the angst out of our systems. If the Ottawa Senators had beaten Philadelphia, had beaten or at least put up a better fight in their last game on Tuesday against the Oilers, not being down 5-1 at one point, the way they played, especially in the third period, you'd be okay with. But the compounded frustration is what's getting to me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, man, I know. It's brutal. I don't know what to say about it, Ross. It's just like they put us through these stretches of playing horrible, and then we get all pent up, and we're all angry fans, and we're all frustrated fans, and then I'm sure their attendance is going to start dropping down a little bit because people are going to stop wanting to go to games because the team is not performing, and that's all they need to do. And then to put everything else in, like, to another point about this is just the November thing. Like, why is November such a hard month for this team to get through? It's uncanny.
Uncanny is a great way to put unparalleled, you could say.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I guess.
Now, for the record, too, Eugene Melnick's statement of unparalleled success ends in 2025. Maybe January 1st, 2025, they go on a 30-game win streak.
That's when the curse ends. Yeah, it's weird, right? Like, you think about the games that they've been playing lately where they have those two crappy periods and then they come on strong at the end of the third and they look like a different team at that part of the game. They kind of look like that throughout a season, too, if you really think about it, right? It's like they start off rough, and then the middle is kind of like a little bit of mushy middle action, like kind of like 500 hockey. And then they turn it on when things don't really matter anymore. I don't know if that's a mental thing for this team where I don't know what it is. It's impossible to pinpoint what the problem is there, but they need to find a way to dial their game into how they play in third periods and do it the entire game. And they'll win a lot of games. And we saw the way they can play over the course of an entire game a few times already this year in a few great wins. And I don't know why they can't just bottle that up and maintain it for an extended period of time, because you would think that with the way that they had played early in the year that, it would be way more likely that they'd have a 4-game winning streak than a 4-game losing streak right now at this point. But the last 2 weeks have turned us completely backwards on that. And now they just don't look like a good hockey club.
They don't look like a winning hockey club. And that's what's most frustrating. They can have the edge in shot attempts. They can have the edge at certain times in the game. But when things hunker down, when they need something, that's where they fall short. And that's, I think, what's most infuriating for me, at least, as a fan. It's like they get close, but they can't get over the edge, whether it's close to a comeback, whether it's close to finally taking home a victory and having a shutdown third period when you're up going into the third. It's just not there for them. I tweeted out tonight at SensCentral, whatever it is, they don't have it right now. They're allergic to winning, as Zach says in the chat, and it's hard to argue with that. Now, Adam Rogers writes in asking, do we still want Travis Green as coach? Look, they've been through coaches. They've been through GMs. They've been through ownership. They've been through nibbling around the outside of making changes. And I just feel like if you're looking at Travis Green right now, you're looking at a scapegoat. I think it's on the players in that room. That was the message from Steve Stais yesterday, and I agree with it. Everybody in that room needs to be 10% better except for Timmy. That guy brings it every single night. And Adam got that too, because I don't want him to get clumped into the rest of it. I know he probably lost his man there on that goal, so maybe it's give one back, get one. But for a fourth line guy to have 8 goals this point in the season, I think he should be immune from the criticism that goes to the rest of the guys. I think that it should be shared equally among the guys. And also, I mean, it comes down to your best players have to be your best players. And Jake Sanderson in particular is a guy I look at the back end. He's shown what he can give. It's an extremely high standard, but he's got to maintain that standard for Ottawa to have success. They've hitched their wagon at over $8 million to him and Shabbat. I think Shabbat's probably playing more like an $8 million player. I don't think he's at that level quite, but he has had a lot of good games this season. I just think it's the players right now. I think this is all on the players.
might be time for a players only meeting, Ross. I don't know what you think about that, but could be time. We talked to Meth about it. Meth doesn't like them. He says they're stupid, but maybe the younger group will respond to it. Who knows?
Yeah, and Shannon makes a good point. Nick Jensen has also been consistent this year. I mentioned that earlier. Like, yeah, if we're doing 3 stars of the season, it's Stützle, and then it's then it's Nick Jensen, then probably Adam Gaudette after that. Maybe Drake Batherson. I think his play's fallen off a little bit of late, but overall still almost a point per game player and all of that. So just frustrating, man. It really is. And I hope that we get to hear from Travis Green tonight. I'm sure we will. They're slowly trickling out online right now. I think they just had Linus Allmark. You can go find that on the Ottawa Senators social media platforms. And usually the home games take a little bit more time to get those out. So I don't think we'll be able to get to Travis Green tonight. They always wait for the coach last. The media goes in the locker room and then over to the media center and gets the head coach. So I'll get some final thoughts from you on this one, Martian, and what's been just a disappointing stretch of hockey, 0-3-1 in their last 4 games. And as you pointed out so eloquently earlier, they are 1 point out of the basement in the Eastern Conference, and that belongs to the Montreal Canadiens, and you cannot even say games in hand anymore. They have each played 19 games this season.
That's terrifying. Yeah, I guess final thoughts for me on this one. It wasn't a good game from them. Allmark played well. They wasted a good performance out of him, and they need to turn it around right away going forward here on Saturday and then again on Monday at this home stretch. If they win these next 2, they'll bring me right back into it a little bit. But as of right now, I am not optimistic about what this team's going to be able to do.
What do they have to do, though, on Saturday? Like, what's one area of the game that you need to see improve to give you any sort of hope?
They just got to win. They got to find a way to win, Ross. So they got to score a few more goals early in the game, gain momentum, keep momentum, and finish the job. It's as simple as that. And, I don't know what else, man. I think that's basically it. Maybe get a little bit more physical, a little bit more secondary scoring, and that's all it's going to take. They had a few games early this year. I can't remember exactly which ones I'm thinking of here, but where they were on the right side of the puck all night long. And that's just the way they got to play. You look at that Brady Tkachuk back check tonight, and that's not it. That's not what we need. So they need to just play better.
We're doing our part here. We're doing our part here on Locked On Sens. 260 citizens riding with us in the chat here after a 3-2 loss to Vegas. We got an interview at 7:30 a.m. my time tomorrow morning. This is the grind of doing this for the people, for myself as well. I think that we love being able to share our emotions day in, day out with the Ottawa Senators, with you guys, and really glad to see that that people are still riding with us. Obviously, it's not the misery loves company, but I think, and people ask me at work, they're just like, hey, don't losses create more conversation? Don't they create more topics, all that? And it's like, this fan base has been through it. Like, this team, this fan base, they just want to see wins, like ugly wins. Like, when's the last ugly win, Martian, that the Senators had? I can't think of it.
No, they lose the games they should lose. It's crazy. They never win the games. They never win the games they're meant to lose.
It's really frustrating. Meant to lose. Martian, they were minus 164 tonight on the money line. That's outrageous favorites in this game.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me either. I guess it's because Vegas is playing their backup goalie and they're on a back-to-back. And then they were, Vegas was a heavier favorite earlier, like yesterday, and people were probably hammering it, so they lowered it. But I have no idea why that would be. No,
we got a fair one here from Zach. The LA game was an ugly win. That was an 8-7 win. That was ugly.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that was ugly, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was ugly, but it was also more than a month ago.
I would call that a game that they should have won that game no matter what. They were just getting stinky goaltending, so that's why I think the score was so high and against them. They a big time. They just had bad goaltending going. That was the game where Forsberg was in there and he just played like garbage.
I think it's also the only game the Sens have won this season where they allow the first goal. That's not a fact. That's just from what I can remember. It feels like they're just finding ways to lose games. They fall back by 1. And it's tough when the Senators tweet out Allmark's post-gamer and their caption, it's not a quote, it's just a caption, an important message on keeping perspective. Like, this is a therapy organization, not a sports franchise. Like, they keep score for a reason, and it's a results-driven business. And as Sudsy says here, we mentioned it right off the top. No Mark Stone, no Alex Pietrangelo, and a backup goalie in net. And the first 40 minutes, they got their
And they're on a back-to-back.
Handed to them.
Yeah, and they're on a back-to-back. It's just like it was deja vu completely from the Oilers, where they got shut out the night before, and they're coming into Ottawa, and of course they're going to score one early on us. So.
Yeah, both teams that are coming off a shutout, Vegas and Edmonton, they both score in the first 10 minutes against Ottawa. So, look, November sucks. It's the worst month of the year. It's November 21st. They've got more games. They've got the daunting out west trip playing against bad teams, San Jose. They've got the Predators at the start of December as well. That feels like a loss. It's just there's not a lot of hope right now as a fan of the Ottawa Senators. And after this busy stretch, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday at San Jose, that's a tight turnaround, playing Monday, traveling overnight. You get Tuesday to get into Pacific time, and then you're on the ice late night against the San Jose Sharks, 10:30 Eastern time start. And then you get to take a bit of a deep breath there. 2 days in California, the 28th, 29th off. Like, you better be 500 by then. Otherwise, it should be blinds down, shade, no sun for any of the boys. Obviously, I'm joking with that, but at the same time, it is extremely infuriating to see where the Ottawa Senators are right now, because I think objectively, there's enough talent on this team to be in the mix. Whether this is a playoff team or not, I understand people are on the other side of it, but this roster should not be at the bottom of the conference. It just should not.
No. And we're going to hear it from other fan bases, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what they do here.
Well, I'm like, Biz had a tweet the other day, and I know people don't take his tweet seriously, nor do I, but he actually made a good point. He's like, I'm not going to argue with Sens fans until they're 3 games over 500. Like, is that not the bare minimum that Sens should expect for themselves, to be 3 games above 500? Like, the bar is being set.
We don't have a leg to stand on.
No, nothing.
We don't have a leg to stand on. So I guess all we can do is just wait and see if they can pull through for us. And if not, we're just going to go through another season of crap.
Yeah, again. And then eventually, it wouldn't be this year if they miss the playoffs, but you're staring down the barrel too of not having one of your next 2 first-round picks. And the prospect pool ain't there. There's not a whole lot coming. There's no savior. Carter Yakimchuk's certainly a good prospect, but he's not going to come in here and be Tim Stützle, be the guy who drives play and makes it a different feeling around here. The players in the room, and I don't want to just sit here and name guys and call them out and do all that dumb, not dumb, but it just doesn't get anywhere. Every player in that room needs to be 5% better. And the nights are getting longer. It's getting dark at like 4:45, 5 o'clock. It's a tough time of year with the time change and everything. And it's like, all you want to do is every other night tune in to some Ottawa Senators hockey and hopefully see a victory. And it's just frankly not happening today. So that's where we are right now. Maybe some GSGs in the chat. I forget what Danger Flute sounds like. I just want to have fun watching this team. That's all I want. And it feels so far from that right now that it's dark and it doesn't feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
It's depressing. It's all very depressing.
As Paul says, hello, darkness, my old friend. You can find our social media in the comments below. We've got a great episode coming for you, not only tomorrow, but Monday as well. We're going to save Andy Petrillo for Monday's show, and we will have the host of Locked On Canucks. I believe it will either be Kyle Bowen or Trevor Beggs with us tomorrow to help preview the game against the Canucks. That'll be the third segment. We'll get Pilsy's thoughts on this game tonight, and we'll be here for you guys. We will be here through thick and thin, wins and losses on the Locked On Senators podcast. If anybody knows how to cover losses, it's us here on LOSP. Martian, I appreciate you coming by. Already got final thoughts from you. I've been tiptoeing around this because all the player interviews are posted. I want to hear from Travis Green tonight. We'll retweet that at SensCentral. For tonight, though, we say goodbye. Really cannot thank you enough. I know I keep going back to it, but these games suck. They are bad hockey games. So for everyone afterwards to come here and vent with us and have this support group, for lack of a better term. It does mean a lot to all of us here on the Postcast. Jack, Martian, Pilsy, and myself. GSG's in the chat as we say goodbye. Thank you to the Glebe Central Pub for being a part of this journey with us here on the Postcast. You can find us at SensCentral on Twitter, lockedon.senators on Instagram. Senators fall tonight 3-2 against the Vegas Golden Knights. They outshoot Vegas 40-32, including 18-5 in the third period, but 2 comebacks fall short against the Vegas Golden Knights, who just own the Ottawa Senators. It's as easy as that. For the Martian, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another Ventcast of the Locked On Senators podcast presented by the Glebe Central Pub. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the show, and we'll see you Saturday as well for another postcast after the Senators take on the Vancouver Canucks. Have a great night, everyone. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.